Just thinking like spending money on public spaces. How do you make that happen? I mean, things like Central Park in New York is kind of crazy. It's a massive open space in the middle of the city. I haven't looked up the math. I think you can justify it because Central Park, for example, the park, like, yes, it is a lot of real estate that you're not making money from directly, but it dramatically increases the value of the surrounding land because the park is there. Whereas if you remove the park and put more buildings in, then all the surrounding real estate will plummet in value because the park is no longer there. I guess, like, maybe the calculation is like, does the increase in value in the surrounding properties offset the land value that is locked up in the park? And maybe it does. Maybe it does. Like, these days, if you suggest to the people of New York that you remove Central Park and put more buildings in, nobody would want that. Especially the people who own the apartments adjacent to it. Because, like, their buildings would lose value. On the other hand, if you suggest to people, like, if there isn't a park in the city, and you suggest to people, alright, the city council is going to spend a whole lot of money buying this piece of land, demolishing the building, and then turning it into a park, people would be against that too. Most likely people would be against that. It's like, you're gonna what? You're gonna spend our taxpayer money to buy a perfectly fine building, demolish it, and build a park? Although, you know, if you own an adjacent property, you would support it. I mean, logically you should support it because that would increase the value of your property. Presumably. Ah, yes. I wonder how that would work. I wonder if that can happen. Alright, so we're looking at waxed copper slabs, waxed oxidized copper, cyan stain. Oh, I need to put in hold up, I need to put in trapdoors. Ladder, trapdoor, and oops, what am I doing? What am I doing? Trapdoor and slabs. Oh, there's a tunnel here. I have to figure out how to build this tunnel as well. Hold up. Where's the persistent? Oh, it comes out all the way to here? Crazy. All the way here, huh? another thing that can happen is the city can mandate that every building in the city, or like, well, actually they don't mandate. They say that in exchange for you putting in some public space on ground level, you can have like a few more stories up top. So basically, a few more stories up top of rentable office space or whatever it is, apartment space or whatever it is. In exchange, you have to like make the ground floor of the building a bit of a park, right? You have to put a park in at the ground floor, and then that way you can have sort of open space. I mean, it's not really public open space because it's, well, actually no, it is public open space. It is privately owned public open space that the city requires the private owner to maintain in exchange for allowing them to build the building a little bit higher. So then like the rental income from the top more than offsets the maintaining the park down the bottom. And that way the city can have more park space, or like more public open space available for the people. So that's something, that's a trick that cities can use. And it also, I guess it spreads out the public space too throughout the city, instead of just like having a big central park and then everything else is just solid buildings. Which, you know, it really benefits people living right next to the central park, but doesn't really benefit others as much if everything is all in one place. How to have nice things in a capitalist world. I guess you just have to give people some financial incentive to build that stuff and maintain it. Alright, so there's trapdoors. There's a lot of these, they're called externalities. Things that are that have benefits but do not appear in your accounting books, right? Things that are external to your economic calculations, but which nevertheless have value. Just, you know, not value that you can measure in your accounting. What do I have to build this tunnel? So what do I do down here? Is it the green copper or the waxed copper? Oops. It's mostly the waxed copper, right? I guess this starts down here. Alright, let me just do the underside. And I'll figure out the top side afterwards. I mean, the fact that the office building has like a little park down at the ground floor, presumably that like increases its value, presumably. Like it's one of these amenities that, wouldn't it make people want to rent it more? But on the other hand, like how do you calculate, or how do you prove, I guess, How do you prove the value of it? You kind of can't. Kind of can't until after you've built it and you have a lot of like a long record of rental income. Yeah, like things like aesthetic value. How do you convince the bank like to give you a bigger mortgage because your building is gonna look good? Like before you build the thing, like the bank is not interested in that, man. It's like, all right, like. What we're gonna look at the buildings in the surrounding area, what kind of rents they receive, and based on that we're going to estimate what kind of rents your building is gonna receive, and that's it. Right. And so I don't care if you have a fancy architect building you a pretty building and you think that pretty building is gonna get higher rents because it's pretty. They're not interested in that. But you know, after you build it, if it is pretty, and people do pay higher rents because it's pretty, like after like 10 years or so, you can say, oh, look, over 10 years we've consistently gotten higher rents than our neighbors. Right? When you have the data, you can prove it. But before you build it, you can't prove anything. And before you build it is when you need to apply for the mortgage or the bank loan to build it. And so like it's very hard to finance beauty. It's very hard to pay for beauty. Which is a bit of a shame. Unless you have like a big name architect, I guess. Unless your architect is famous enough that they have a track record of building buildings that are in higher demand than everyone else. I wonder... But even that... I mean, what big fancy buildings have been built in the last 10 years? What big name architect things have been built in the last 10 years? Peter Eisenman won the competition for the rebuild of the World Trade Center, if I remember right. But that one, the actual design in the end, if I remember right, looks very different from his competition entry. It's actually, did they even use? I think they didn't use his design at all in the end. I need to look it up again. I don't remember exactly what happened. I seem to remember that it turned out to be a rather unremarkable building in the end. Again, like trying to finance beauty didn't work out. not sure what to do with this tunnel here. I guess we use the same brown copper, green copper pattern. Let's try to three blocks, 4 blocks. Okay, I need to figure out how much ceiling space I need first of all. That seems too close, right? Even that seems too close. Well, let's say we have that much ceiling space. Yeah, no, they haven't been really fancy buildings recently, have they? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I guess it doesn't have to line up here on that side. I'm gonna knock it 1 block further back. Oh, wait a minute, that's how far back it was anyway. Oops. By 1 block further back, I mean what I actually meant to do. One, two... One, two, three, four... Oh, they're all in China, the new fancy buildings, of course. I completely forgot. Yeah, no, all the new stuff's in China now, isn't it? The Olympic Stadium. One, two, three, four, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 doesn't quite line up, but we don't really care about that, I don't think. So this... How much headroom do I want? 3 block headroom? 3 blocks of headroom. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I guess that's the final bit. Doesn't have to line up. The new Beijing airport. Okay, I need to stop recording for today. Let me finish this little segment here. There are slabs of this material, right? So... Slab. Let me real quick. Not prismarine. Copper. Oh, it's cut copper slab. There's no waxed oxidized cut copper slab. How does that look? That's fine. Slightly strange because it's a different material, but it's fine. Alright, and then we need some lighting somewhere around here. Alright, let me end the stream for today here. When we come back next week, we are building the Skyland track all the way from here out to the junction. And if we manage to finish that in one day, Stronghold Station is the last station. And then that's it. All 25 stations done after that. Alright, see you next week.